All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy, Loyalist. And today we are going to be talking about the Indianapolis Colts traveling to Nevada, Las Vegas, taking on them Raiders at Reliant Stadium. What's up, my guy? How have you been this week?
I'll tell you what, not too bad, but I was not ready for this snow to be coming. I mean, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the weather. It was like 2 days ago, it was 74. Woke up this morning going, what's going on? How you doing, bro?
It's Indiana, man. We got to prepare for this kind of weather all the time. I'm doing pretty good, actually. Been kind of trying my best to keep up with all the news that's been dropping between the Raiders and the Indianapolis Colts heading up to this 405 game tomorrow. And why don't we just jump into it? First and foremost, let's get a good look at the injury report for both teams, shall we?
After everybody smashes that like, hits that subscribe, and also please ring that notification bell. That way you're notified next time we go live.
Absolutely. Now there's a bunch. I mean, the list is huge, and I think it's just one of those situations. Jeff Saturday walks in and wants the team to get healthy. Screw this. We got Mo Alley Cox dealing with an ankle. He's questionable for the game. Had limited practice on Friday. Deion Jackson with the knee injury, he is out. Jelani Woods has a shoulder injury. He hasn't practiced all week. He is out. Darius Shaquille Leonard got the back and the ankle, has not practiced. I believe he just got put on IR, did he not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep. So he's out for at least 4, if not more.
Yeah, I mean, that's half of what the rest of the season's left. So we'll see what happens. Grover Stewart did not. He missed a practice, but it was not injury related, so he's good to go. And then Kwity Paye has that ankle injury. Apparently, it was a little bit of a setback this past week. He's questionable for the game. Anything big on here? I'd like to say this right here is big.
Oh, yeah, Jonathan Taylor being back. Yeah, absolutely. But I'll be honest with you. I'm a little concerned with Kwity Paye being out because I thought with the way he performed last week, and I know he's not out yet, but it's just not real good whenever you sit there and you see practice, and then all this automatically injures it, and then he didn't even practice the next day. Mm-hmm. So Jonathan Taylor, good, very, very much needed. You know what I mean? Good to see the special teams will probably be a little bit stronger than what we saw last week because these guys are coming back. But like I said, that Kwity Paye one is one that I'm going to keep a close eye
on. Some guys that are back from injury, Tony Brown and Grant Stewart, who are couple of our special teams guys, some pretty good special teams guys, missed last week, will be back this week. How important is it to have our special teams up and going against this Raiders team?
Oh, it's everything. I mean, because we always say, give us at least 2 phases of the game, and the defense consistently has been that phase one. Okay, we got you, and the offense, unfortunately, has been inconsistently or consistently not that on there. So definitely would like to have the special teams, and then if we can get this offensive line to maybe figure a couple things out with the new head coach coming in, who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump right on into the Las Vegas Raiders, and we've got a questionable person, and that's it. Denzel Perryman, the middle linebacker. Now, Blake Martinez retired, so he's not going to be playing. And you got, which is kind of funny, Darren Waller doesn't have a thing on, but didn't he go to IR?
Yeah, Darren Waller as well as Hunter Renfrow.
Both these guys down here did not have any injury designations, but I'm pretty sure, like you said, both of them are on IR. With the defense that we've been playing lately, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow missing this game, that means they're going to be relying heavily on Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, and a certain number 17.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, as far as I understand, guys don't hope for injuries or anything, but I got a feeling, Kenny Moore, is sitting there going, okay, because Renfro was a headache for him last year, and you guys know those tight ends, he has a big part in. So those two guys being out really, really, I mean, they were like, if you're looking at a stool, I mean, you've already lost two of the legs, and you still got two legs, like you said, with Jacobs and Adams. So it should give Gus Bradley and this defense a little extra focus on those particular areas, I might say.
Absolutely. Now that we're done with this, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this. There we go. Some important stuff we want to discuss before we get into it. Like he said, please smash that like button. And if you want to support the channel, you can use the donation link at the top of the video or the description of the video to help donate. We'd appreciate it very, very much. But look, we all know that the Indianapolis Colts has been going through some internal struggles over the last 3 weeks, right? You had the Matt Ryan, benched and then injury. Then you have a second-year, sixth-round pick starting over your backup at the time, which was Nick Foles, with Sam Ehlinger. Then the offensive coordinator, Marcus Brady, gets fired. Then the head coach, Frank Reich, gets fired. And then a very controversial hiring for the interim head coach in Jeff Saturday. Now, with all those internal issues, the Raiders, who were supposed to be this powerhouse walking in with all these extra people, and then Josh McDaniels getting hired, it was expected to be a very, very good team, walk in with a worse record than the Indianapolis Colts have, as the Colts come and visit them. This is a big, big game for the Raiders, because if they get beat by a team that's had the internal struggles that they've had the last 3 weeks, this is going to say a lot about that team, would it not?
Oh, absolutely. Because, like you said, both of these teams have underperformed. I mean, woefully. Arguably, two of the top three most disappointing as far as production teams that you go. And to your point, all the moves that Raiders, like you said, head coach, bringing Adams in, you really were like, okay, if these guys can, I mean, you see what you saw what they did last year under an interim coach and how they were carried down the stretch and stuff on the shoulder and arm of, Derek Carr. Now, is this going to be one of those type of games? Is this where Derek Carr just takes over this thing and says, okay, I got this, and put you on my back? And I'll tell you right now, I'm very interested to see how the Colts react. How are the Colts in the locker room? I mean, because you didn't mention it yet, but Park Frazier is also a new play caller and stuff. I mean, there is a lot of new faces, especially at the top. You know what I mean? And I know Jeff Saturday said he picked Park Frazier because he wanted to keep as much consistent as he could. But you guys think about it. Sam Ehlinger, he gets into the league and he's like, I'm finally going to get to start. And then the next week, who's calling plays this week? And then the next game, 3 games now, and he's going to have 3 separate, play call. Well, offensive coordinators. I know Wright called the plays the first couple, but it's just, it's a very crazy situation. And even though both teams are underperforming, they're both sort of coming in on a down note because of all of the IR transactions that happened this week. And then not to mention the coaching and stuff.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned, with the situation that's happened this week, and Sam now, basically 3 different offensive coordinators, even though Parks Frazier doesn't have the offensive coordinator position, he's still doing the play calling. Parks also stated that he will be doing it up in the booth. That's where he's been all year this year. Last year, apparently he was on the sideline, but this year he'll be up in the booth. But the most interesting thing that I've seen and heard was Jeff Saturday saying, hey, when it comes to, the game plans and practice and sitting in with coaches and stuff, he has spent 85% of his time with the offense. And he's pretty much said, you know what? The defense are doing great. Let them deal with what they're doing. I'll go in, kind of get an idea of what's going on there on defense and special teams, but he has 100% faith in them. He was brought in because this offense has been atrocious all year long. So he has spent 85% of his time on this offense trying to get it back, to at least where we was hoping it might be last year, let alone this year, right?
Yeah. And to your point, Jeff was he was brought in here to lead these guys. Okay, let's hold this thing together. Let's try to keep the ship in the the locker room together as a brotherhood and stuff, and then just sit there and try to make some of those small changes. Hopefully, the majority is going to be on the offensive side because, Jeff Saturday. If you guys got to hear the presser, he had a lot of the fan base like, let's go, and that's great. And honestly, I could see that playing really huge in this particular game with it being the first game in and stuff. But he's still got to sit there and find some tweaks or some way to help this offensive line produce at a higher level, because let's be honest, the offensive line, this team goes where this offensive line goes. And unfortunately, our record is, quite honestly, it might be better than it should be with the play that we've gotten from the offensive line.
Yeah, that is not an exaggeration either. But here's the thing. Okay, so there's a lot of people out there that's talking about that the moves that has been made over the last 3 weeks is Jim Irsay trying to tank the season. Now, I honestly, with the way Saturday is now, first off, Jeff Saturday is not going to try to tank. There's no tanking in his blood, right? Mm-hmm. There is no tanking in a coach's blood. There's no tanking in players' blood, because you're out there trying to, get money in your pocketbook, right? And if you put bad stuff on tape, that's just going to take away from you long term. But it's been known that when coaching changes, especially a head coach and a play caller happens at the same time, historically, that offense actually does well the first few games.
Absolutely,
as it's new.
Especially with the Saturday type of personality, that charismatic, I don't want to call him a raw guy, but he's authentic, he's straightforward, and that goes a long way, in that locker room, I would have to believe on uplifting. And as far as the tanking goes, I can sit there and have a conversation about, is Irsay tanking? You look at some of the choices that have been made and stuff, and I honestly believe the majority of it is coming from the ownership, down. But guys, Irsay's not out on that field. He's not the one strapping the helmet on. He's not the one out there calling the plays. Like we said, Park Frazier's first time ever to call a play. These guys are being presented with this opportunity of a lifetime. Yes, it's not ideal if you go through the trenches and you go through every level, but if you're going to sit there and skip some of these skip some of these levels that you would normally expect people to go to, wow, what an opportunity. You sit there and can you imagine the storylines when Jeff Saturday and Park Frazier's come out there and this offensive line starts clicking a little bit? And that's really, this O-line clicks a little bit, and they're going to make Saturday and Frazier look like heroes. Because our defense has got this. I know Shaq being out is, but what's he got, like 70, 75 snaps all year? So they're sort of used to the Shaq not being there. So like I said, the excitement level, the intriguing, this to me will move the needle more than even putting Sam in and taking Matt out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And if Saturday and this offensive line actually starts to show a little bit of life, maybe get a little bit into the running game, a little bit into the passing, a little bit better pass protection, a little bit better run blocking, this could be huge. Mm-hmm. Because not only if the Colts beat the Raiders, which I think they're 4.5-point underdogs walking into Las Vegas, with the way the Colts have been playing, that's 4.5 points is amazing in my opinion. I'm like, are you kidding me? Did you see the game against the Patriots last week? But if they beat them then they're only one game behind at 500, walking in to face Philadelphia on Monday Night Football. That would be monstrous. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead. First, obviously, you got to go 1-0. I'm the kind of guy, I root for my team. I have been a Colts fan since they moved here from Baltimore back in the early 80s. And it's difficult for me to ever go, let's lose so we can get a draft pick. I can't do that. It's not in my blood. I feel dirty if I try that stuff. I mean, it is what it is. So I am absolutely going to be rooting for them. I hope that they win. I hope I see a lot of improvement across that, because like I said, if we see improvement and we see even a glimmer of life with Indy and they beat the Raiders in Vegas, oh my, Saturday might be the talk of the town.
At least hopefully he'll be able to silence some of all the negativity, especially on the national, platforms and stuff that has come with this move, because, everybody's got to have their opinion and get their clicks, and I get it. That's the nature of the beast. But the thing is to me, I look at the man that Saturday is, and it's just like, man, I think I seen Law in here said, yeah, here it goes. He says, none of the Colts O-linemen want to come off the field after 3 and out and face Jeff Saturday. You know what I mean? Because they don't want to be the guy who lets Jeff down. And I honestly hope that is the mentality. I hope that is, and I'm not as much thinking as far as Matt Pryor or Fries or Ryman. I'm thinking in the way of Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Braden Smith, these guys that we've seen play at this level, at a high level and stuff. If Saturday can get some of that little bit of figured out, Parks Frazier said he's going to simplify things a little bit. And like we said, we got JT coming back. We got to get this run game going. We've got to get this run game going. And I'm not saying that it's going to solve all the problems, but at least then your defense gets the opportunity to catch a break and catch a breather, And the thing is this Raiders defense is, I think, mid-level, like 14 or 15 in the NFL on run stopping. But if you sit there and start running the ball, then you can also attack them at their weakness, because their secondary is not, that is their weak.
Outside of Rock Ya-Sin, they're not very good at all.
No, and they just got rid of Abrams, I think it was, So I mean, this team is, like I said, both teams are in turmoil. The Colts have produced at a higher level than I think the Raiders have as a whole, but we've just got to sit there and see which team is. I mean, you go in and it's like, at first when you heard about it and you didn't know about Waller and you didn't know about Renfro, I was like, oh man, that's a tall task, but I was trying to find a way. But then whenever I heard that and, heard those IRs and stuff, then I sit there and dig a little deeper in this offensive line. I mean, here again, this ought to be an opportunity for Grover and Defoe to really, get in the face of Derek Carr and give him some headaches.
Absolutely. Deep Patel, you are correct. I apologize. Philly will be the last game before we have that 3 out of 4 game run of primetime games, right? Where we'll have the Steelers Monday night, then we have the Cowboys Sunday night, and then the Vikings, we have no idea, and then another Monday night hosting the Chargers. So yeah, you're right. That was my bad on that aspect. But back to your point. I mean, wow. There is absolutely the defense. When I first predicted this game, I had the Raiders winning 17-10, right? And that was because I knew our defense was good. I figured we'd hold the Raiders offense to 17 points. We've generally been pretty good at that, as long as they're not put in a bad spot, right? Now, with the Raiders losing 2 of their 3 top guys, on their team, on IR, I could see the Colts holding them to 10 and getting an extra stop or 2 and giving the offense a chance, which I had the Colts at 10. If we get a field goal out of a couple of those stops on the transition, that's game. Colts win. I got the Colts winning 13-10. I know it's an ugly game. I know that sounds like back when we played, against Thursday night football against the Broncos, but a win is a win. All right. That's how I see it. And as long as we don't turn the football over, and that's one of the biggest things that Jeff Saturday was talking about. Hey, look, we got to run the football. We got to block well. We got to quit giving the football away. And he's been out there every practice talking to these guys saying, this is not how you do it. Try it again. Let's get it. Keep going. And he'll have them do the same play over and over and over until they get it right and say, okay, next time do this right the first time. I loved hearing about that. Absolutely loved it.
Oh yeah. And there again, for me personally, this strikes a chord because what I see from Coach Reich and stuff, you sit there and he's just a nice guy. He's not going to, throw anybody under the bus, but it left me feeling like maybe there was some accountability that wasn't quite being handed out. I don't feel like that's at all going to be what Jeff Saturday brings to this. Plus he brings that energy, and I get it. Some people are, into that for their coaches and some are. I am definitely on board. I want my head coach. I want my defensive coordinator. I want them all to be super pumped and stuff because this team really feeds. Look at Shaq. Shaq has been that energy, that bring the juice guy, that guy that just really helps up the level of this team's play just by what the atmosphere it is created. We haven't had that all year. You get Jeff Saturday in there. You get some of these guys realizing, hey, I've heard people say, is this a wake-up call? Me personally, I felt like that wake-up call should have been answered weeks ago. But now they're looking at, okay, we've lost the offensive coordinator. We've lost the head coach. The quarterback's been benched. Oh, no, I might be next. You know what I mean? And so we're running the list of people before you start getting to some of these players and stuff are falling lower and lower on the totem pole there.
Absolutely. Rodney McLeod and Gerard Powers over on Believe was talking about that specific thing. At this point in time, the players are going to be playing as hard as they possibly can because they don't want to lose their jobs, right? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I've got a very special guest coming on to Believe next week for the next week's episodes. Another player and another starter, another guy that everybody knows a little bit about. And hopefully I'll get a question in on him about some of that stuff as well. So make sure you guys subscribe, right? And hit the notification bell so that you're notified when these things come up. Obviously, tomorrow we're going to be doing our live game reaction to this game, just like we do every week. Hopefully it's not in the same ballpark that it was last week against the Patriots, because I don't want to sit here with my head down and just doing this the whole game. I want to feel a little excitement, and not just when our defense is on the field, Mm-hmm. I want to see some big plays from our offense.
And I want to bring up something about this defense because Rodney on Believe this week said something that really, me, I'm always like, treat that 50 like it's a goal line, and you heard Rodney sit there and say, this defense could easily sit there and say, hey, we're doing our part. It's on you. You know what I mean? But that's not the mentality that you're getting from the locker room. You're hearing the leaders in Rodney and DeForest, and these guys are like, no, we just have to keep improving. We have to, make more turnovers. We have to put our offense. And that to me, I think that's going to be something that we might be able to capitalize on this week. And it stunk because, Shaq's just sort of a turnover magnet. But, we've still got Gilly Locke. We still got Kenny Moore. We've seen Bobby O give his best impression of the Shaq Maniac attack, last week. So, do that again. But like I said, I really think this defense, if they don't score, I really believe in my heart of hearts that they're going to at least put the offense in a position to where they're going to be able to get an extra score out of this game, because the pressure that comes from that interior from Grover and DeForest, and that is absolutely where every quarterback hates it from. But especially Derek Carr. He hates when he doesn't have that comfort spot to step up into the pocket and stuff. And we could sit there and get that pressure early in this game and really take away that. He loves those little timing passes. Now, Gus Bradley, this is what you told us, And not to mention, I think Gus might know a little bit about, the Raiders offense. I think, Brendan Faison might have a little familiarity with this Raiders offense. So, I'm very pumped to see what this defense, what the next level is that they can bring it to this week.
Absolutely, guys. I'm going to drop a couple ads real fast, and when we get back, we will get into the chat and answer some questions, bring up some comments, things of that nature. Guys, Backroom Collection has some awesome stuff. DeForest Buckner says so. This channel is proudly sponsored by the Backroom Collection. They do beautiful sports canvas art with football, basketball, baseball, and other sports themes. Special orders are accepted and autograph pieces are available. Many Indianapolis Colts signed pieces will be available beginning in November. Just use your discount code CL10 to purchase the pieces you want to spice up your living area. That's CL10. This video is sponsored by Newsbreak. Newsbreak is an app used over 1.5 billion times a month by people just like you to get local news via articles or videos by those who are focused on that specific area. People like myself. Just use the link in the description of this video to download it. Then search a city, state, or someone specific, like myself, Colts Law. Then make sure to follow them so you'll get all the news fresh as it comes out. Speed jumps in here earlier and says, oh, and by the way, what's going on, Speed? Appreciate you seeing you in here. I ain't seen you in a minute, so awesome. Hope everything's going well with you. He says, we can't win with the media. We won't win. The story will be how the Raiders lost. And that is kind of how national media has been, not just this year, but in the last few years when the Indianapolis Colts beat a team that they shouldn't beat. It's always about how the other team lost. And every game that they've won this year, the Indianapolis Colts, all 3 games, has been about how the other team lost. How Russell Wilson was awful, how Kansas City couldn't get it done. I mean, it is what it is. And as Colts fans, we've learned to kind of live with that a little bit because with the players, they don't care. They absolutely don't care as long as they get the dub.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I'd love to have a better narrative about our team, but I don't care either. Give me that win. Let's get that win. Let's silence the naysayers for a week. Let's have some good positive conversations to talk about. And who knows, just maybe we might be able to bring the same organization back the following week instead of having to cut or fire or bench somebody. Let's just keep the team consistent for a week, and let's see, whether it's Sam or Matt Ryan or Nick Foles, let's see what they can do with this, on a steady pace.
Absolutely. Speed jumps up here with another interesting point. He says, I can see Matty Ice making a return in the second half, driving the Colts to another fourth quarter game-winning drive. Now, I don't know if that's specifically going to happen, but it is very interesting to note that Matt Ryan now is the official number 2. All right. Before Jeff became head coach, when Frank Reich was head coach, he said that Nick Foles would be backing him up the whole year, that Matt Ryan would not be the number 2. So Matt Ryan now is officially the number 2. It depends on if the offensive line can step up. That's the thing. That's the whole situation of the reason why we even got Matt Ryan, was because we needed an offensive line for him. You give that man an offensive line, he could perform some pretty nice plays. Is it too late? Not if they start winning now. They have to win now. Literally, you basically have to win out. Rodney McLeod said this is playoff time right now for the Indianapolis Colts. They have to act like every game is a playoff game. It's win or go home. If they win out, they most likely make the playoffs at 11-5-1. So, because 11 wins will get you in the playoffs.
Yeah, especially with the league being as middle of the road as it has been. And honestly, I think, if you get 10 wins could probably get you in the playoffs, because, I sit there and I think, though, if we lose more than one game in this second half, I honestly think that then you have to start asking questions about, okay, what moves do we make? Because like I said, last week, has put more of my focus towards the future. And then they brought Jeff Saturday in. So now I'm like, okay, let me lock in on today and let's see with this one last chance, But if you lose against this Raiders team with all the lack of production on the defensive line, you look at the injuries that they're dealing with and stuff. If you lose that game, if you lose this game this week, even with it being the long trip, even with it being the new coach and stuff, that record, it's going to be almost impossible to overcome, because you look at all those losses, the AFC are standing just in the AFC for tiebreakers and stuff, will not be that of a desirable situation.
No, I mean, granted, so far the Colts have beaten both AFC West teams that they have faced so far. If we could make a clean sweep of it, wow, that'd be impressive. But to your point, if we can't beat a team that's sitting literally on their heels, on their butts right now, with 2 wins and, some of their best players out right now, if we can't beat them, then our season's over. It is what it is. I mean, we have to walk into this game tomorrow with the attitude that we are better than this team and then come away with a victory.
Yeah, not to mention that this team is also the same team that has jumped off to these early leads. I think they've had like 3 17-plus point leads that they've let slip through their hands and stuff. And that, you guys know, that's demoralizing. And the most motivating factor for me is, man, I do not want McDaniels to get a dub on this team. I felt like, the last time we had any interactions with that man, as far as with our organization, did not end well. And I would love to be that team that might turn up that conversation or might turn up that microphone on, do we get rid of McDaniels after 1 year? I would love to be that team that sits there and says, let's hear more about that conversation and focus less on the Colts and the path they're on.
Well, I mean, the last time the Colts faced Josh McDaniels led offense was last year against the Patriots, and we beat them. So let's do it again.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. and like I said, I really do feel good about this. You sit there and you think about people that are hungry, people that realize, Jeff Saturday and Park Fraziers has said all the right things. Okay. Me personally, I wasn't a fan of what I was hearing from Chris Ballard, and I wasn't a fan of what I heard from Jim Irsay. But you look at the guys that are going to affect this game the most this week, Jeff Saturday, Park Fraziers, they said a lot of really smart football stuff. And then just sit there and you could also realize that, what? These guys aren't looking at this as this is my career. No, they're looking at this as a chance of a lifetime. And I want to put as much effort and much success into making this a successful venture.
Absolutely. Because, if Jeff Saturday, even comes close to the playoffs, or even has a winning record with what the Colts have had this past season, there's a shot he could get offered the job long term.
Yeah,
right?
Because you think about it, Jeff Saturday's an ESPN analyst, okay? He was probably not going to get a whole lot of interest, as far as in a coaching department. But if he can come out here and show that he can coach this Colts organization to make them productive, to where you can see improvement and you can see his leadership coming through on this team, whether it's with the Colts or anybody, now he's in the conversation. Jeff Saturday's like, look, I'm just trying to get in the conversation for this. I didn't go and go to college and come up through the ranks of the normal traditional path for being a coach. But you know what? I was a little busy, going to 12 years of playoffs, playing with just, I don't know if you've heard of these guys, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, just guys that have a little bit of talent. So the thing is, you sit there and I like this opportunity for Jeff because he, now he gets himself into that conversation. And I would like to say something here. I know everybody's wanting to get Matt Ryan back, and I get that. But I'll tell you right now, Sam can come out here and ball play solid football and get that momentum going and stuff like we saw week 1 for him with the Commanders. I'll tell you right now, you do that along with getting JT jump started, this offense is going to be so much more productive. And then, you know what, maybe Matt Ryan can have an extra week or 2 to get healed up. Or maybe, maybe they'll find something and get it. I just don't want to act like we're putting, turning the page on Sam. He's the guy starting. I want to get out to a decent start this week. So I'm hoping that he comes out and shows us more what we saw in his first game versus what we saw last week.
Absolutely. You know what's really odd that I've noticed? The Colts were, while Matt Ryan was at quarterback, he had a ton of turnovers, as we all know. And right now, the Colts are still tied with like two other teams with the most turnovers in the NFL right now with 17, right? But I believe the Colts were third or fourth in passing offense in the NFL, right? They were able to move the ball. Completely different than what we saw this past Sunday, where they could not move the ball at all. We barely got over 100 yards total offense. It was awful. In my thought, look, this is obviously the defense that we're going up against this week is not nearly as good as the Patriots defense. And when you're talking about defensive minds, I'm going to take Belichick over the Raiders DC all day, every day, when it comes to that situation. So I'm hoping that just off of, addition through subtraction, the opponent that we're going up against, that our offense will look much better just off of that, let alone the fact that, we have guys right now that are bought in, right, with the new system, with the new head coach. Jeff Saturday's all about going out there and, as you talked about, being a leader of men. And his coaches have been pounding the table for him all week. Gus Bradley said in his press conference, I'm all about let's go with this. Let's go with what Jeff has to say. He's a great guy, and then Reggie Wayne was pounding the table during one of the meetings earlier this week, after one of Jeff Saturday's speeches to the team. I'm hoping they come out there with a fire to start the game that we haven't seen all year long. The Indianapolis Colts have yet to score on their first drive. I want to see them walk out there and just be like, catch everybody off guard. Everybody just, holy crap, what was this? This is something different, right?
Yeah, we're going to win the coin toss. We're going to defer. We're going to kick the ball off to the Raiders, and we're going to get a turnover in the first drive. Give that offense a good starting field position. And then, like I said, this offensive line, guys, I don't dig deep, find whatever little spark that you for some reason weren't able to find and use, and just let's get this run game going. I don't care who's at quarterback. This run game is going to go a long way to take the pressure off of whoever it is. And the thing is I know these linemen love to sit there and run block a lot more than they do pass pro. And, because guess what? The stunts, they aren't nearly as damaging whenever you're run blocking. Sometimes they're actually helpful. They stunt themselves out of a play or something, and it's, you look at the tight ends, Mo Cox, like you said, he hadn't practiced all week, came in light practice on Friday. If he plays, he's not going to be the best version of himself. You know what I mean? There again,
and no Jelani Woods either.
Exactly. And so now that puts you a little thin. I love the young man that they brought out from practice squad and stuff, so. And I also wanted to mention they brought up Jordan Wilkins from the practice squad, because
I was saying all week Jordan was going to be the guy.
But I also want to remind people, Zach Moss he's had a week and a half in there. I'm not sitting there saying that he's going to get JT type numbers, but even if JT's on a pitch count, he can come in and he can lay the wood and he can help this run game go. You know what I mean? And he's not. That Buffalo offensive line wasn't always opening up the largest holes for him. So he's a little familiar with that, unfortunately.
Well, it's also, he's one of the best run blockers as a running back in the NFL. Of all the running backs in the NFL that's had at least 100 snaps this season, he's number one in the NFL with not even giving up a quarterback hit.
Yeah.
So that's big.
Also, as far as blocking, we get Ashton Doolin back this week. He's brought back from IR and stuff. I don't know how much snaps he's going to get, but if he's on that field, how much of a better blocker that he is, then, and don't get me wrong, Paris Campbell and Alec Pierce, they do a good job at the blocking, but hands down, Doolin is the best blocking wide receiver that we have on this roster. So if we can sit there and get him out there and do some of those legal crackdown blocks and stuff, and pop JT off for a good 20, 25 yards. I mean, you got to believe that JT's just like, that's all he needs. He just needs to remember what it feels like to break one. You know what I mean? And then after that, he'd be like, oh yeah, muscle memory, whatever, that euphoria or whatever. I'm telling you guys. And the thing is this defense, you look at it, you look at Chandler Jones, big scary name, half a sack this year. Max Crosby, did he lead the sacks last year or real close?
Quarterback hits.
Was it quarterback? Okay. But Max Crosby's got 6 sacks this year. If we
That's
can
pretty good.
if we can really hone on these two guys, though, like I said, I really feel like this offensive unit can really move this ball against this Raider defense, because you take out Max Crosby. Okay, you whether you got to double team him constantly, put a tight end on his side, whatever you got to do, double team Max Crosby. Don't let Chandler Jones remember what it was like to be in his prime. Keep Chandler Jones at bay, and then just run the ball, run this darn ball. And then, like I said, let that open up your passing game, and just, let Sam find his rhythm. Let Sam just sit there and get that rhythm like he did against the Commanders, and then that confidence will swell.
What's up, Wyatt? He brings up a good question. Says, has Jeff seen all that he needs to see from Matt Pryor? I don't know. I hope so, because the guy that he just got done talking about, Max Crosby, who sits on that end specifically almost every down, is scary. Okay. And yes, he can stunt too, and he's darn good at it. All right. But he's a freaking Tasmanian devil. Okay. When it comes to pass rushing, he doesn't give up. He uses every ounce of energy he has on every down when he goes to pass rush. But when he stunts, he's pretty darn good at that too. And we all know how bad Matt Pryor is at recognizing and getting back to that. So I'm hoping that either A, Jeff Saturday's like, Pryor, get it fixed. Or B, he's found somebody to put in there and, knows I can get you to play much, much better, because I'm sorry, as mean as Matt Judon was last week against us, he's just a speed rusher. Max Crosby's got it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the thing is I have to believe that Jeff, I'm not sitting there trying to pretend like Will Fries set the world on fire last week. Okay, that was not the case at all. But he moved his feet. He didn't wave at the guy as he was crossing in front of his face. Matt Pryor, I swear, I think he's just out there, taking tickets or becoming I like this. Judon, can I get an autograph? Because he sure as heck wasn't out there trying to protect anybody on this field.
Did you see, okay, how many of you people in the chat watched my film room of the game, the offensive film room? And I'm just like, dude, nobody did good in this game. The quarterback did bad. The offensive line did bad. The running backs did bad. It was just bad. The tight ends did bad. It was just bad. The only guys that I thought that performed their game halfway decent was the wide receivers. And they've been doing that all year long. But you can't just have one position group on an entire offense do halfway decent.
No.
Because at that point, you're just like, why even have the entire offense? Why have this whole system right here if you can't get any people to go out there and do a good job? So I'm hoping that we start to see a little bit this week of what we see, the cohesiveness that we see from the defense and the special teams that we've seen all year, where they really do a good job of just trusting the guys around them and doing their individual job to the best of their ability. Because if you could do that on offense, then that's going to relate and make production. And that's what we need.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like I said, I'm not asking for this offense to just sit there and, wake up and hang 40. If they do, great, but yeah, like I said, this offense has really got to find its spark, whatever it is. And if Jeff Saturday can't spark these guys, then I really don't know what to do. And I was, the thing about moving Ryan Kelly out to right guard is, first off, he's got that knee problem. You know what I mean? And not to mention that he's not taking any snaps. It's not that I don't think that he could do a decent enough job. I just think that communication would be really muddied up. And the thing is Ryan Kelly, he's trying to audition. And I think that, honestly, I think that you try to keep as many of the pieces where they are to start the game on. Now that doesn't mean that I don't sit there and start mixing and matching if we start putting another, like they said, poopy collective, out, but I really think this offensive line and Jeff Saturday coming in and really, I mean, Frank Reich, he sat there and done what he can from that quarterback position and from the head coaching position, or quarterback history and the head coaching position to help this offensive line. But you've had a guy now you've got a guy in there who's not only familiar, but he's done it. He knows what this blocking scheme is. I mean, Chris Strasser's from the Howard Mud, and you guys all know Saturday was like the right-hand man to Howard Mudd for years with this offense. So he's got the guidance, he's got the knowledge and stuff. Just got to get that message inside the linemen's, inside their head and inside their heart, and hopefully pick this thing up a little bit.
Yep. And here's the thing, okay? There's something that I actually honestly expect. You're right. I think he's going to go out there, especially with the offensive line, with basically the starters that the Colts normally do. I really think that he's going to probably pull that out. Now, whether you're going to have Will Fries or Matt Pryor at right guard, that's the question. But from that point on, I think that's where, Saturday's going to be having his eye on the entire game. I could see him making adjustments in game and having conversations when the offense come off the field and talking to his offensive line and his offensive line coach the entire game, trying to get things fixed as the game is playing, which is something you did not see much of with the Indianapolis Colts all year this year. Right. You didn't see those kind of adjustments and things of that nature. And I think we're going to see a lot of that this upcoming. I don't believe it. I know Alex believes that the Colts are in 100% tank mode. I know that. I understand that, but I don't think when it comes to Jeff Saturday and them, there's no way.
But the first part of this sentence is what I want. He says, I truly believe Saturday's here to evaluate the talent over the next 8 games. And that's I believe is very accurate. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Let's evaluate this thing. But to sit there and say that he's doing it to create a situation for himself, no. Because let's be honest, if Saturday can't get this thing turned around and stuff, remember how we were saying earlier, that it gets him in the conversation? Well, it will just as quickly take him out of the conversation because of all the smoke and stuff that's come with this addition, on the national media. I mean, Saturday needs his team to really come out and show improvement. Okay. I'm not saying that he needs the team to go 7-1 or anything like that, but he needs to show a noticeable improvement. And, Jeff's aware of that. He's aware that this is an 8-game audition. But I do think that this first game, this first live bullets from him coaching and stuff, he's probably going to spend the more time on that particular film than he has any film in his entire life, because he is definitely going to be going in and evaluating and really nitpicking, I would imagine, on this offensive line and some of their errors in their technique and stuff.
Absolutely. And I honestly, with as good as talent evaluator as Chris Ballard has been in his tenure here with the Indianapolis Colts, I don't see him leaving this year. I think Jim Irsay gives him one more year and gives him an opportunity to go up in the draft and go grab the guys finally this year that he needs to get. I think Irsay is going to just say, you need to make sure this offensive line is right. You need to make sure you get the quarterback of the future, young quarterback of the future, not some guy like Matt Ryan or, Phillip Rivers or something of that nature, right? Yeah. You're not going to have Frank Reich in your ear going, Carson Wentz. You're not going to have that kind of stuff going on, okay? So I really do believe, because let's face it, Chris Ballard's done a great job evaluating talent overall. There's been guys that have not lived up to what you hope for due to injuries. Guys like Tyquan Lewis, guys like Paris Campbell, guys that, when they're on the field, absolutely fantastic. Oh my goodness, they're do a really good job, but then they get hurt, Now, Tyquan happened 2 years in a row now, in week 8. Paris Campbell, though, this year, then knock on wood, stayed pretty healthy and has produced when needed. So maybe he gets that up and going.
I know how little you believe in that. So, guys, that shows you how much Law wants this to happen, because he doesn't do the knock on wood bit.
No. But I mean, talent evaluate. I truly believe the Colts' top 3 wide receivers are very, very solid, good wide. Maybe arguably, top 5 in the NFL when it comes to talent wise. I believe that our offensive line overall is very, very good. We got issues though. We have one of the best running backs in the NFL, right? We have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. We got one of the best linebacking cores in the NFL. We got some really good talent in the secondary. We may have the deepest safety group in the NFL, right? I mean, come on. So this is a situation where I believe in what, Chris Ballard has brought to this team, but he has completely and utterly failed at the most important position. Mm-hmm. And now I think this is the year that Irsay is just going to be like, get it done. This is your last year. If you don't get it done, then I'm going to do something about it.
I hope you're right. Honestly, I'm equally as concerned as does Ballard want to come back with the way things, the perception of the way things have happened. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I honestly feel like a lot of these moves that are being made lately are against the wishes of Ballard, if Ballard was the guy making the call. So I hope you're right, because the talent evaluation, and I'm not just talking about Chris Ballard. I'm talking Ed Dodds, Morocco Brown. These guys are really loyal and have, been really solid to Ballard and this group that they have built. And I would like to sit there, because whether you agree or disagree with Ballard as far as, do you pay a guard that, $20 million? Look, the thing was he went and got a guard that was, culture changing. He went and got a guard that turned what we used to always call the not a physically dominating offensive line to now we dominate games. You look at Braden Smith, you brought him in, you sit there and you look at a lot of the free agents, whether it's DeForest Buckner, whether it's, Gillylock, whether it's Rodney McLeod. I mean, even as much as everybody's ticked off about losing Danique Autry, he found Danique Autry, sort of that, that name that everybody was like, who's this? And then boom, he comes out. Glowinski, he helped really revitalize. I mean, this man can assess talent and he can get it on this roster. The thing is now, like you said, get that left tackle taken care of, get that quarterback spot taken care of. The receivers, you look at what you've got in receivers. Yeah, everybody always wants more, but I'll tell you right now, this receiver core, I think, has put a lot of silence to what people were concerned about going into this season, because you sit there and you look at it. Now we say, okay, now we can see what Ballard and Reich had been saying. Now we see where these guys are talented and stuff. And that
don't lie.
No, and that takes a level of commitment. I mean, because like you said, you got the whole fan base chomping at your heels to do that. So I hope Ballard wants that. But right now, like I said, it's all about today or tomorrow. It is all about getting that W for tomorrow.
What's up, almond butter? Look, he says, I want to know what you're smoking. Top 5 wide receivers in the NFL. Yeah, I broke down film for all 32 teams except for so not all 32. I think about 28 teams so far. I've looked at film, and consistently the Colts wide receivers get open more often than 85% of the other wide receivers in the NFL. The problem is the offensive line does not give the quarterback time for him to go through his progressions to get the ball out. That's the biggest issue. I'm sitting there looking at our wide receivers going, holy crap, not only are they open, they're creating their own separation and keeping it open. That is something that I see on a consistent basis. the offensive line has just been awful. And I want to talk about you coming in here. Wyatt Law says maybe we need to bring Googs back. Look, Dave, the Googlion, I don't know, Coach Googe will never play or never be a coach for the Indianapolis Colts ever again, ever. And there's a reason for that. You know, look, I like the hard-nosed coaches too. I get that, but he was terminated because he was too hard in the aspect of when you have a player that loses somebody to a death, especially a shooting, and he misses a week or two, you know, to go home, and then he comes back, and then that coach tells that player, you should have put the team first. You'll never take another snap in the while I'm coach again. That don't fly with me. You can be a hard ass all you want, but you got to understand family comes before football, and it does. Period. End of story. That's just it's how it should be. You know, your personal life should come before your job, and that's what it is. All right, and especially in a situation like that, right? In a situation where you lose a family member in that kind of aspect, and that's why. You know, he'll never play again. But if we get another offensive line coach with the mentality that he has, yeah, the mentality, the hard nose, do your job or I'm going to sit you type situation, that right there, I'll be all for that.
Yeah, bring me in somebody. The thing is I imagine that, you know, Saturday is in the camp of, you know, Strasser, as much as I have a hard time saying that and stuff, you know, so, but yeah, I want somebody that's just going to be accountable, make these guys accountable, hold them. Okay. You're not balling out, you know, you're hearing whispers now that, you know, different players had different levels of accountability and, you know, and that's fine when you're winning, but when you're not winning, I don't care if you're the starting quarterback of 12 years or if you're the rookie. I mean, you are all going to be held accountable, especially with the product that they've been putting on this field this year. You know what? We need more accountability.
Absolutely. And I think Jeff Saturday's bringing that to the Colts right now. Guys, I think I'm about done here. I appreciate you guys. It's been about an hour. Thank you all for coming in, dropping questions, comments, things of that nature so that we can react to that. I've already stated that I think the Indianapolis Colts pull off a low-scoring, tight game, 13-10 over the Raiders. What was your score again this upcoming?
All right. Well, real quick, guys, do me a favor. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell before you get out of here. Also, check out our Patreon. It's $5 a month, guys. You get early access to all the Believe in Colts content, you know, and like Lawrence said, we go live tomorrow. We'll have a Discord that we'll drop in the chat so we can watch the game together and react to it all at the same time. Like I said, there's a lot of obstacles, but I think this defense is going to come out and really, you know, make a statement in this game. And I think the Colts are going to score more points than they have all but one game this week. I think it's going to end up being like a 23-16, 23-13 type of game, Colts.
Didn't the Colts score over 30 points once?
Like I said, it's all but one game. Yeah, all but one game. Okay. You know, because we haven't broke 20. And the thing is I feel like I've been saying, I think the defense is really close to getting a turnover that changed the game. This week, I'm going to put it in my prediction, you know, because I think that one of those will have to come off of a turnover, short field position. But like I said, 23-16 Colts.
All right. Well, guys, smash that like button. Like you said, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Tag that notification bell. Hit the share button. That is over there below Loyalist. If you want to help support again as well with donations, use that link in the top of the description of this video.
Weather's changing, guys. These hoodies will keep you warm and toasty. Check it out there in the description for merch.
Absolutely. Any donations used by that link, I will bring up right at the beginning of the live stream tomorrow, and we'll go over those as well. So thank you so much. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Colts Loyalist. And as usual, have a good one. This channel is proudly
just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.
My score that I put up was based on what the Colts look like against the Patriots. If Saturday and this team somehow finds a way to make this offensive line play even 50% better than what they have all year long, I got the Colts blowing the Raiders out. But I got to see it before I predict something like that. As usual, have a good one, guys.